Oh, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to another edition of Pagan Artist Spotlight on the Prairie Land Radio Network. And this afternoon, we are joined by my good friends Kerri Connor and Cheryl Kreiner. And now, Kerri, I got sent your book by my contact over at Llewellyn, and because he felt your book was one I should check out, add to the library, and also have you a guest on the show. So I wanted to get that done. And this is her book, Spells for Good
Yep,
Time.
that's the newest one. Yep.
hmm That's one we're going to be talking about. And then Kerri, and then Cheryl. Now, you are the owner of CryBaby CBD, and you're also well, you're still part time roller derby girl as well.
Well, I still skate, yes, but
Not not professionally.
well, no, the roller derby isn't really professional anymore. Not like it used to be, where you'd set up your TV dinner in the living room and watch it. It was the only time we could eat dinner at my grandma's house in the living room was when roller derby was on. Hilarious.
Nice.
But
Well,
I
I
wanted to
noticed
ask, did you happen to get the other book too, the CBD for your health, mind, and spirit?
not
Did you see
yet.
that
That
one?
I have not got that book yet.
You got a copy
Oh,
around there,
okay.
Cheryl? You
I
got a copy on
do.
hand?
I
Yours is
I
probably closer than
do.
mine. I'd have to run to the house.
I actually do. I'll be right back because that's my speaking part. I don't know about spells for good times, although I do know that that book is like this big, and her spells for bad times is like this big.
My son loves that. He loves to point out that yeah, the spells for tough times is like a phone book, and the spells for good times is like a pocketbook. But there's a
It's
reason
like
for
a
that.
phone book.
Well,
It's
It's
like
a
a
very
phone book.
different.
All of it,
Yeah,
but it
it's a
is.
very
But it
different
is.
format. That's the pretty one. I really love
So
that
this,
cover. That's one of my
yeah,
favorite
that was a
covers, I
good one.
think, out of all of the books. Like my favorite cover, and it's a cannabis leaf in a kaleidoscope.
yeah.
hmm
And this is also a Llewellyn book, and this book came out right before Kerri's latest book.
Yep.
And that's the tie here is that I helped her with content and recipes and stories and things like that on this book. And we know each other in our circles, our witchy circles and such around here.
Well, I
Or we
noticed that the two of you have done book signings together, so that was the reason why I
Yes.
contacted both of you to come on the show at the same time.
I love it. We love hanging out and talking about all things cannabis and CBD and
We've done it a few
spells.
times now. Yes.
Very cool. All right, so let's get into this now. I'm gonna get a little bit of story on you here, Kerri. Now, you've been practicing your craft for over 35 years, and it looks like you also run an eclectic pagan family group called the Gathering Grove since
Yes.
2003.
Yes. And when the pandemic hit, we've discussed it for so many years, and when the pandemic hit, we all just decided it was time, and we are now a registered 501c3 religious organization. Right
Very
down to
cool.
my house has been changed to the deed is now in the name of the Gathering Grove. We are full church status here. It's
Very
just
cool.
a pagan church.
Nice. Well, seeing as how I'm next door to you over here in Iowa, I'll have to make a road trip one of these
Yeah,
days.
that's it's not really that far away. I gotta say, I've been to Platteville when the Bears were still there, and I know that's not too far away from getting to Iowa. So
Cool.
Where are you? Where are you in Iowa?
Waterloo.
Is that middle of the state? Middle of the state?
No, it's the no, it's over in the well, kind of like northeast Iowa.
Okay.
Yeah, because if you find if it basically the way I tell people look for it on the map is you go straight across from Des Moines over to Iowa City and then north.
I know Des Moines from roller derby.
Oh yeah, I believe that one. Okay, so now let's talk about your book here, Kerri. So I mean, you've got some of the you've got a lot of good information in this book here, um, especially recognizing your power, um, skills of the craft, self-sabotage. I think we all see that quite frequently.
In many
And
ways.
yeah,
Yeah.
and ethics and responsibilities. Uh, so basically, yeah, the recognizing your power, I would say that would go back to the first rule of know thyself.
Yeah.
Mm.
So, what was your inspiration for writing this book?
The pandemic.
Ah, okay.
That book was very much everything. Yeah, it was very much based on the pandemic, based on things that happened to me during the pandemic, things that I saw happening to friends, other people. There's also stuff in there because of the rise of, how shall I say this without being offensive? The incredible sudden
problem.
Yeah, seriously, it is a problem. The incredible suddenness that witchcraft was mainstreamed over the pandemic, particularly through social media, especially with TikTok.
Mm.
And it has created, we don't question the way people practice. We don't question the way people practice. And the problem is we don't question with the way people practice. And then we've got people out there who have read half of a book, watched 300 TikToks, and now they're teaching other people how to be a witch.
Yeah.
But we don't teach people, we don't tell people how to practice. So that's a problem because we don't tell people how to practice. And yet we have all these people out there who think they know what they're doing and they have no clue. No clue.
You and I are on the same page with that.
Yeah, they have no clue.
Right. Yeah,
they don't care about research. They don't care about anything. They care about what they want, how to manifest it, and get what they ever want at all cost. And when you try to do it that way, you put a heck of a lot of negative energy back out into the atmosphere. And you know who gets to deal with all that negative energy? The rest of the frickin' world. So you got all of these people who think they know what they're doing. They don't know what they're doing. They're using anger. They're using boredom. They're using negative energies to get what they want. And they're sending more negative energy into a world that is already swamped with it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That's why there is that book. It's really about taking anything that is negative and trying to turn it more positive. And when I say that, I mean energies. I just like energies. There's some situations, obviously, if you're in a bad situation, you can't necessarily make it positive, but you can get out of it, which could be a positive. There's so many kinds of positives, and we don't think out of the box anymore because honestly, a lot of people don't even think anymore. They listen to what the TV tells them. They listen to what the TikTok tells them, and they do not know themselves. They don't know themselves. They don't know what they're doing. And it's a little scary. It is a little scary watching, because I mean, I when I started this, I had no idea. I mean, it was back in the 80s when I decided I didn't agree with a whole lot of stuff I was being taught in the church. And the fact I was being taught by it, by the people, my Sunday school was the mother of my my brother's drug dealer. So my Sunday school teacher's son was selling drugs through their family restaurant to my brother while sitting there in my Sunday school class telling me about how drugs were so terrible. And just like daring me to say something. And I didn't say anything at the time. At the time, I was 14 years old, and I got up and I walked out, and I never went back to a Sunday school class again. I knew they were hypocrites. I knew they were lying at the time. But to see, we had no information back then. We had nothing. The only book I found in my entire library was the Ouija board, the most dangerous game. And I grew up in a town called Zion, Illinois. And if you guys want to have some fun, Google Zion, Illinois. Google the originations of it. It was started halfway between Milwaukee and Chicago by a pastor who planned on creating the perfect Christian utopia.
We've all heard that before.
Yeah, all of the names from the roads were from the Bible. I didn't even understand until I was like 14 years old, because we didn't sell alcohol in the town. I went to a grocery store with my brother in Vernon Hills, and I was in shock because it was the first time I'd been in another grocery store and there was like alcohol. And I'm like, they sell wine. Yeah, I thought it was amazing because I grew up in this it's not like an Amish community type of place, but I mean, they had this huge history and they all acted like they were very godly, and most of them were not. They simply were not. And I had lots of issues, so I decided to start looking elsewhere. And my library had nothing. And then we started, friends and I, researching. We went to the Waukegan Library. We went to the Gurnee Library. We eventually found, New Age stores. But back in the 80s and early 90s, it was hard to find anything anywhere without like going to Chicago. And so we had such a lack of information, we had to dig really hard. So we had it at one end of the spectrum. Today, they have instantaneous information at their fingertips, but nobody bothers to verify if any of it's accurate or not. So they just do what they're taught. And I have a friend, Cheryl and I both have a friend who runs a store in Wisconsin. And she says she has people come in all the time now who are like, I need your help. I saw something on TikTok and I did it. Can you help me undo it?
Wow.
Yeah, that's Sue, obviously. Yeah, she said she gets this all the time now. It's so much in the opposite direction now, and it's so hard to get people to sit down and read a book. But I've always been a book person. My whole life I've been a book person. I've worked for both Borders and Barnes and Noble. I love books. And I will always tell people you will learn far more in a book, reading a book for a couple hours, than you will watching TikTok for a couple hours.
That's true. And because I've been over there on TikTok. I've seen what takes place. And there's several people I've called out on their BS.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have a TikTok.
You're better
Do
off.
I need TikTok?
You're better off there, hon.
I don't think I have time. You have to dance. You have to dance on TikTok.
You do not have to dance. You can, but you don't have to. You don't want me to dance. I might break the deck. But yeah, so that's why I wrote that book, Pandemic and TikTok.
And TikTok.
Short answer.
Well, I mean, it's good that we've got authors that are putting out positive information and correct information that people really need to check out. They need to take the time to actually learn the right way. And they also need to learn to reach out to experienced people in the actual community.
Yes.
Not TikTok.
Yes, very much. Very, very much so.
Because that's been my whole argument, is that we've got these teeny boppers on there who are giving themselves a title of high priestess or high priest, whatever. And then when you ask them, okay, who gave you that designation? Nobody, myself. It's like, go away. And it's like, I have had numerous conversations with other authors who are good friends of mine, especially my good friend Tamara down in Australia.
Mm-hmm.
And she has her own clan, and she's been in the community for many years, and she's a well-respected elder in the community. And I that's the reason why I tell these people, especially our newcomers, that you need to also take the time to reach out to our experienced people in the community, our elders, so that because they have a lot of knowledge that they can give you to start you out on your path on the right foot.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay,
That's
now,
true in anything, you
right,
know.
that is true. Now, Cheryl, let's get into yours a little bit. What was the inspiration for your book?
For the book,
Mm-hmm.
oh, well, I started my business in 2017, towards the end of 2017, after dealing with a culmination of health problems altogether, mental health and physical health problems from stress. Um, and I found CBD and started my business, left my corporate job to deal with my health. And through that, found CBD and cannabis and started my business. Well, through that, I met Kerri. And she had Wake, Bake, and Meditate coming out. And it was before COVID. Maybe that was 2019 or
Yeah.
2018 even.
Mm-hmm.
And I met her at a pop-up event. We have, several friends in common. Um, and I never thought, that would be, I just was very awestruck at that. And so when they asked, when Llewellyn asked Kerri to write a book about CBD, she asked me to help guide her in what resources, books, any research I particularly liked, etc. So, we had several phone conversations and lots of shared Google documents of research and my thoughts and more research. And then as she's writing it, she kept coming back to say, tell me more about your dog, Fat Sam, or what did you say?
I said, give me more.
Give me more recipes. And then I reached out into the CBD community here locally and got input from a local baker who helps me bake my dog treats. She makes an amazing CBD truffle. She added another gal that lives up closer towards O'Hare. She's a local CBD. She's actually, unfortunately, not in business anymore, but she contributed some recipes. Kerri's family and your daughter contribute. So I contributed some recipes, and she'd be like, what about snacks? And I'm like, I'll be right back. So I love to cook and I love to make snacks and treats. So that was a really fun area of the book to do. So that's how it came about. And then next thing you know, I see the book cover in art and my name is on the front cover. Like I had no idea. I just thought I was, helping out a friend, providing some content. And I figured, through that, I could reference the book, while I'm in my business, helping people and working with wellness centers and metaphysical shops. My business started at a metaphysical shop, actually. When I started my CBD business, the metaphysical shop in St. Charles, River's Edge Crystal Shop, owned by Stacy Chandler, I was in there all the time because I didn't know what to do and I didn't know how to heal. And I knew that it was a safe space for me to be there. So I would like to say that thank you to the community for showing me so much love and support, that all of my energy and everything continues to point me back to this group. I have goosebumps right now. So, and I do work in other industries, the roller derby or extreme athletic, sports I
Mm-hmm.
sell to or whatnot, but I really do feel like this group is my home and where I'm at, even though I honestly, I I like crystals and I have sage, but I would not call myself a practicing witch. But I know that I have some amazing gifts, and I'm just learning, now how to tap in them. I've had a toe in it my whole life. I've always known.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, that's a whole nother story for a whole other time. So anyway, my name is on the cover of this book, and I'm shocked about it still, but it's really fun. So we've been doing interviews, and that's why I thought you wanted us to talk together was about the book. So I apologize. I misunderstood. But
no, you're fine. I basically we're going to be talking about both of your books anyway. So that and the whole point was, like I said, I had seen that you both had been doing book signings. It's like, okay, I'm going to have both of them on at the same time.
Yeah, and we're friends, and we like to give each other crap, so it's good. We're, we make for a good show, I think.
Cool.
But,
I like it.
Yeah.
So let's see now. How many book signings have the two of you done together?
Just the CBD one is the one we've done together. But I just turned in my 11th manuscript that'll be out next April, and that's Conjuring with Cannabis.
I love that, Kerri. I always tease Kerri that she's written 100 books.
Not yet.
11. That's 11. Still pretty impressive.
Well, at least you're now. I was gonna say, are you fairly close to each other?
Yeah, pretty close. For about an hour and a half.
Yeah,
maybe 2.
Yeah, right around in there. I'm more straight west of Chicago in Batavia, along the Fox River. Are you near the Fox River?
I am a little bit. I mean, it goes through McHenry and stuff, but I'm really close to Wisconsin. Yeah, I'm literally about 15 minutes from the Wisconsin border.
Yeah,
and a half hour west of Lake Michigan. That's how I always describe it to people, because nobody's ever heard of this town. I had never heard of it. It's just we have like 600 people here. It's
yes.
Oh, look at the doggy. I'll send you some dog treats and some doggy CBD. I always follow up after an interview with a gift.
Yeah, she is a regular camera hound.
Oh, she looks good on camera. Hi. So I'm doing a book signing next week at INAT in Denver.
Yes, she is.
Oh,
yeah.
Go to Denver.
So I'm really excited, and I also have a booth right next to Llewellyn booth. And so I hope to meet some new business contacts there.
Very cool. Now, if you are interested, next year, I am hosting the first annual Midwest Podcasters Conference here in Waterloo at the Convention Center.
Oh,
wow.
So I would love to have, seeing how both of you are over in Illinois, I would love to have the both of you attend.
Oh, thank you.
That could be a thing. That could be a thing.
Yeah, it's gonna be the first week. It's gonna be the first weekend of September next year.
Okay.
Yep, I'm working to get that all set up, and it's basically I've opened it up to pretty much everybody who's done internet radio, podcasting, authors, you name it, tarot readers. Basically, it's open to anybody and everybody. So that's what we're going to be doing here. So now, basically, going back to your book here, Kerri, let's see, there's a couple things I was going to touch on here real quick.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you've also got workings for self-esteem, and you've got a chapter on shadow work as well, because it really seems like people are covering more and more about shadow work.
Oh yes, especially with the birth of TikTok.
Yep.
There is, and that's part of it. And I will say this: I had a very unfortunate situation with a coven I was in briefly, where somebody else in the coven was taking it as her, I don't know, she was acting like she was teaching people. I didn't know exactly what she was doing. I knew she had a chat group, and it turns out that this chat group, instead of just learning on her own, and this is what I find a lot of people doing, and this is a huge problem. Instead of learning on their own, they learn and try to teach others at the same time. It's like they're afraid to learn on their own, so they're always bringing somebody with and trying to teach them at the same time. And this woman was doing this, and she was insisting on people doing their shadow work and saying that you'll never get anywhere with your powers if you don't do shadow work, because you can't truly know yourself until you do. And the woman she was saying this to was not in a good place at the time. She was in a very bad spot mentally. She has dealt with traumas. I mean, you know, we've all had traumas in our life. I had parents, you know, that died when I was a kid. I had an abusive father. I had a molesting cousin. She was kidnapped by a boyfriend. So, I mean, we've all had some really bad crap happen. And these were things that hers were pretty bad. And she's still working through them. And this was several years ago. And I mean, it takes a long time to get through all of that. And long story short, this girl was told, you need to back off of her. She is not ready for this. She did not back off of her. And I get a phone call, you know, of talking people out of taking the pills, because somebody else is telling her, you must do shadow work. You must do it now. You must do it now. You're never going to be anything without this shadow work, blah, blah, blah. Anybody who's pushing anybody else into shadow work needs to get a little popped upside the head. It's dangerous. It is dangerous. People who are not ready to face and deal with trauma do not deal with trauma. They have other responses that make things far worse. And she never took any responsibility for what she did. She claimed it was all the other person's fault and that she should have been working on herself more, and then this never would have happened. You can't get through to some people that you don't have the right to tell other people how to practice.
That's true.
Even when they're doing really bad stuff, you can tell them what you're doing is harmful. If you want to practice this way, you do it. Go right ahead. You do everything you want to do, but stop telling other people they have to practice the way you practice, because it could be very detrimental to them.
That's very true.
And so that's, I mean, any book I write, I put in it a lot. You always have to do what feels right to you.
Correct.
Always. That is the, if you can't do what feels right to you, then what you're doing is wrong.
Then you have to go back to step one, knowing yourself.
Right.
Yes.
Always goes back to that first rule.
First step.
Getting to know yourself can be a very difficult, hard, painful thing for some people to do. And anybody pushing them to do it when they're not ready is just, it's dangerous. It is dangerous. And like I said, I saw a lot of that on TikTok too. I mean, they all act like shadow work. They don't seem to understand, first of all, that shadow work is not just a witch thing. It's not just a witch thing. It didn't start off as a witch thing. It's a psychotherapy thing. Witches use it because if you're in better mental health, you know yourself better, you can give yourself more power, and you learn how to work with things better. Exactly. It's not just a witch thing.
Nope, it isn't. That is very much the truth. And that's the one thing that you get these people who seem to think they know everything, and then they start trying to shove it down your throat, and it's like, that's not how you're supposed to be doing things. And they don't want to listen. And when they get called out on their BS, then they go on the warpath. And it's like,
Oh yeah, it's. I mean, this same woman has. She's 30. She wrote her first ritual under my guidance in 2020. Her very first ritual that she wrote was in 2020. And now she is out there telling other people how to do their thing, and is obviously no longer a part of my group whatsoever because we wouldn't allow her in anymore. But it's sad and it's scary, and she told me to my face that I was just too set in my ways to see things from her perspective. And I said, no, this has nothing to do with about being set in my ways. My ways are about being safe. She claimed that I demonized. I'm like, okay, first of all, I don't demonize anything because I don't believe in demons. I do not believe in demons. I can't demonize something. I don't believe in that.
okay.
But according to her, I just demonized whatever I don't believe in. And I'm like, no. There might not be a right or wrong, but there is a good way, and there is a way that can harm others or yourself.
That's very true.
If you want to use the way that's going to harm yourself, go right ahead. But don't use it to harm others.
Right. Exactly. Okay, now let's see, Cheryl. Now with what you're doing here, you are also the owner of CryBaby CBD.
Yeah.
And based on looking over your website as we speak here, and you've got a lot of really good products that you're offering, including it looks like animal treats as well.
Yes, dog treats. Fat Sam was my dog. He was a Hurricane Katrina rescue. And so when I started my business, he was still alive then. And my other dog, Cody, they were my testers of, they were like test kitchen boss, you know. So they would lay down on the kitchen floor. And as I'm taking out my treats, you know, they would, at first, when I was first perfecting my recipe, I wouldn't put CBD in there until I thought I had it, you know, and then I'd put CBD in and try it again. But yeah, and so Sam died at 19 years old, and he was a border collie. And so I just feel that the CBD really helped extend his life, his quality of life, helped him, you know, with his aging issues and pain and stuff like that. But yeah. Cats, people ask me about cat treats, and it's a difficult one. One, I don't really want to work with meat like salmon or chicken or anything. But two, cats are really hard to get a consensus of what they'll eat, you know.
That's very true. I have 3 cats, and they're all complete idiots about what treats they'll eat.
So the 100 milligram, the smallest oil is usually a good starting point for cats. And then we just drop that on a treat or put it in their mouth, or you can rub it in their ear. I don't rub it in their ear, but there is some research going on that it will get into the bloodstream from the ear because the barrier there is so thin. But I feel like you could waste a lot of it too, like in the fur and dripping down. And anyway, that's my 2 cents on that. But yeah, so that's my pet line. I do oil. I bottle oil by weight as a starting point, as well as treats by weight as a starting point. And the treats are pumpkin peanut butter. And now I bake them in a commercial kitchen, and we're doing about 1,152 treats a week. We bake them all in one night. Me with another baker, the Party Kitchen. And she mixes everything, and I'm the squeezer. So I say that we're like Laverne and Shirley. She's Shirley. She's very very straight laced, and I'm like a big mouth idiot. And So I'm the squeezer. So if you just picture 1,152 times, I'm just, over and over, trays and trays. It's really good, but it's your back, sometimes by the end, I'm just like leaning on the table and just really struggling, with that last one. But yeah, so last night we got out, we were in and out in 3 hours. I think that was our fastest time. Pretty good.
Nice.
And we mop at the end too. So I mean, that's like every day. I'm always like, you don't have to mop. She's like, we must mop. Okay, we mop. So anyway, yeah. And then I have a For Human side as well. And everything I make, I made for myself or for my, friends in my network, a lot of my skater friends. When I made my topical, when I played roller derby, and I still do, I see acupuncturist and a naturopath for my injuries. Well, when I started my CBD business, I went to this recipe that the traditional Chinese medicine doctor treated my injuries with, which was Chinese pain liniment and then some herbs. They were dried. And then he would mix it in tiger balm and then apply it. So I took that recipe, added CBD, and then I make a regular strength and a 4XL. And depending on, where you're at, if it's just I sprain my leg at the gym or whatever, you wouldn't need anything that strong. Or if you have chronic, then you would go up. But anyway, it took me like 6 months to make that. I tested it. I would put it in baby food jars and write, F word on the top of it and give it to my friends for them to try it. Now we don't put swears on the labels. And yeah. Yes, and it's a favorite. My topical pain relief is a favorite for, like physical therapy offices, wellness centers, metaphysical shops. It's a great pain reliever.
I use it.
Yep, and then my oil all comes from Colorado, and it's U.S. Hemp Authority certified, which is basically the industry's top 20 plus companies. So I buy it in bulk, and then I make everything from there. I bottle my oil, make my topicals, I make my pet care stuff, and then I have a rotating menu of edibles. It's just kind of like seasonal, Christmas time, holiday season. I make a lot of different treats that are infused, but it's more for fun. And that's what I do. I have a handful of part-timers. We do markets. I have an online store, and I sell wholesale. And some bulk to food, like a coffee roaster or my big restaurant is Wake and Bake in Chicago, which is a cannabis themed restaurant, and I'm their provider of CBD. And they're about 3 months out for a table, so it's pretty good.
It's
I'm really proud of that.
I want to go there. They were picked as the #1 brunch spot in Chicago.
Yeah. And the
number one
most
brunch spot in Chicago. And they have Cheryl provides them with their stuff, and they're the #1 brunch spot in Chicago. I want to go, but yeah, it's 3 months to get a reservation. And it's like they have all these strict rules about you can only be there for like an hour and a half with your reservation and everything, because they are so.
You have to get up. You have to get up on your feet. You have a window. Yeah, it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. And their food is fun and good. And so I just help them with their formulation. And that's really what I'm good at. I used to not think that I was good at math. But when I started my business, that was probably the most challenging, is keeping everything organized, because I was healing from a concussion as well. So every single thing I wrote down. And so now I still do it. I still ask the same math equations. I'll ask my Google assistant for math help all the time. And I'm fine now. I feel like I'm pretty recovered now. But that helped me. And I think I got my math back.
Well, that's good. That's a good thing.
A lot of ratios. It's a lot of math.
All right. We're going to take a brief timeout to hear from our sponsors, and then we're going to be right back with more with Kerri and Cheryl. So don't go nowhere. We're going to be right back right after these words.
just walked into this coffee shop. You'll never guess what I found. All the help is deeply engrossed in metaphysical times. You should too. I'm at the Egyptian, 475 Park Avenue in Idaho Falls, Idaho. You get your very own copy for free, and we're open till 10.
Sister Moon, Apothecary and More is a collaboration of local island witches bringing you handcrafted tools for ritual, amazing apothecary, custom vinyl work, merchandise, and so much more. But we are not just an online store. We are a sisterhood, a platform, and a voice for everything that is magical. Join us for our famous Tarot Tuesdays from 11 to 4 Eastern Standard Time for a discounted reading with our amazing in-house intuitive reader and priestess, Wolf Spirit Energy, Beverly Oberlin. You can find us on Facebook at Sister Moon Store or on the web at sistermoon.shop. So fly on over and stop in for a spell.
All right, we are back with Kerri and Cheryl, and this has been a really interesting discussion, getting to know the two of these really good people, and I'm glad that I can now call you friends of mine, and I'm really looking forward to seeing a lot more. Now, one thing that I have not really attempted to try, but I keep getting told I should because back last year I had contracted Guillain-Barré syndrome from the COVID shot, which basically took me out of commission for several months. With the base, and it's just this past January that I finally was able to regain the use of my legs to where I could actually walk again, and also regain the use of my hands, my arms, but still dealing with muscle cramps and whatnot. And I keep getting told that I should be checking out the CBD products.
It's a good systemic anti-inflammatory, and it's really good for your nervous system as well. We have these receptors throughout our body. Most of them are in our brain. We have more endocannabinoid. We have more of those receptors than we have any other receptors in our brain. So anyway, it then goes down your spine, your periphery, like your nervous system, and then another concentration in your gut area. So that's why Crohn's disease is on the list for the Illinois medical cannabis card, is because the cannabinoids have been shown to help people with Crohn's disease, among other things. Concussion syndrome is another one which I have. So anyway, yeah, I'll send you, I'll be happy to send you a bottle to try.
It can't make you worse.
Right.
It can't make you worse. I know a lot of people are like, should I try it? Should I not try it? Try it. What is the worst thing that can happen? Is it does nothing for you.
Yeah, it won't make you cry.
Something that Cheryl and I have talked about a lot too is when CBD first started coming out, because you'll hear people say, oh, I tried CBD and it didn't do anything for me.
Yeah.
When CBD first came out, half of what was being sold, might even have been more than half, wasn't CBD. Right. It wasn't CBD. They were taking oil, they were labeling it as CBD, and they were selling it for $30 for a little bottle. And you know what? People bought it. And then they started saying, oh, wait, let's start checking these CBD bottles and see if they contain CBD. And they were finding out that a lot of the places weren't selling CBD. It was crap. It was just oil. It was nothing.
Or
so now,
oh, go ahead. Sorry.
No, I'm saying, well, now we have some regulations about it. And you know what? I hate the fact that we have to have regulations. I hate the fact We
I
have to have
know.
regulations. But you know what? There's always going to be those jerks out there who will just
Yeah.
put 2 ounces of vegetable oil in a bottle and say, here's your CBD, and sell it to you for $50.
Yeah.
So we have to, now that we don't have that problem near as much, and it's like Cheryl talked about, the licensing and all of this stuff that goes into hemp farms and everything, now that we got the, you know, the farm bill finally taken care of with
Yeah.
that, it's a lot. What we have now as far as CBD being sold is not the same as what we had 5 years ago. Just 5 years ago, we have made a huge leap in what was called CBD.
Yeah.
Because that crap probably wasn't. And now we have a bunch of good stuff that is. And if you, Cheryl, I think says the same thing. Cause I always say when you're smoking weed, you got to start slow and low if you don't know what it's going to do to you. And it's the same thing with CBD. You want to have to be able to take the least amount and still have the best effect, because you don't want to waste it.
You don't,
So
you don't want
start
to spend
low.
money unnecessarily. That's why with the pet care stuff, that's why I do 4 different strengths, and it is a little bit extra, you know, but it really is for the best, because if you have an animal that only needs this much, why, you know, why everybody, same thing.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
It's over medicating when you don't need to. And as a society, we are very used to over medicating when you don't need to.
True.
It's a different way of doing it, as you learn to take the least amount you need to get the desired results. And that way, it's like I have like all these weird autoimmune issues, and I have been told my whole life that I have the body of a drug addict. I do not have the mind of one. My brother, on the other hand, he had the mind of one. A lot of times with people who have an addiction, when something doesn't work, they want more until it does work. Problem with me is my body gets used to things my body is not supposed to be able to get used to. But at least my brain doesn't say, give me more of that, give me more of that. My brain says, find something that works, damn it. And they had me on opiates for 13 years. I did opiates for 13 years. And the problem was they didn't take me off of one and put me on a new one. They added a new one, and they kept adding them, and they kept adding them and adding them and adding them. And I finally decided I wasn't helping. I still hurt. I was taking all these different opiates. I was on 100 milligram fentanyl patch, plus taking oxycodone and cotton and all this other crap besides, gabapentin, tramadol. They had me on everything, and I was still in pain. So I quit taking everything, which don't do that either. I didn't know that at the time. This was before they were talking about opiate crisis.
That's very dangerous.
Right.
Yeah, and I got really sick, and I thought I had the flu, and it turns out, no, that was detox, and I could have given myself a heart attack. I didn't know, because we weren't talking about opiates back then at all. But I quit everything. I quit it with no assistance. 13 years of opiates on a daily basis, and I quit them with no assist. I thought I had the flu. That was it. I walked back into my rheumatologist office, and I said, "You're fired, and I am not paying for this appointment. I just came here to fire you." Yeah. And he's like, "What do you mean?" And I said, "I quit everything that you've had me on, and I feel better than I have in years." And then I got cancer. And by the time I got cancer, we knew there was an opiate crisis. And so they don't want to prescribe opiates. And I already know that they're not going to work for me. So I'm like, what am I going to do for pain? I had no idea what to do for pain. And I suffered a lot. And I was in constant pain for several months. And then I looked at my son and I said, "You work in a restaurant, to bring me home some weed."
Because you felt desperate. You felt desperate.
Yes.
I see so many people like that are just so desperate. I was too. with the medications, 15 pills a day.
Yeah.
Mine were for Crohn's disease and sleeping. I wasn't sleeping, and depression and anxiety and just all of it, which was making it worse.
Yeah,
Same,
it does. It doesn't
yeah.
help. It masks. It just masks and makes you not care as much about what is happening. And I was so tired. It's like I smoke weed all the time. I smoke all the time. And people will laugh and be like, "Oh, you have no idea what's going on, right?" And I'm like, "No. I know everything that's going on now. But those 13 years I was on opiates, those are a blur. That part of my life is a blur." And I started using it for pain when I had cancer, and then I got my medical card, and then it changed my life. It changed my life. It saved my life, and it changed my life.
Well, I've heard many stories, very similar stories to yours, and so
Yeah.
we know that we know it works. That's for sure.
Yeah. I'm not what people kind of generally predict as your normal stoner. I probably smoke, seriously, I smoke about an eighth of weed a day. I am a 52-year-old grandma with 9 grandkids, and I smoke an eighth of weed a day.
Show that to your grandkids.
Exactly. And some of, a lot of them know. I mean, because their other grandma, 2 of them used to live with their other grandma, and she had her medical card first. One of my books is dedicated to my girls. I didn't ever want them to grow up the way I did, as I grew up being told that weed would kill you. I was told it would kill you. My parents told me it would kill me. They told me it would kill me.
Mine
And I believed
was
it.
that it was just, that's what lazy people do. Lazy and unmotivated, kind of like what the Dr. Oz's shtick is right now. I am, as I said earlier, I am the most productive and happy I've been my whole life. And it's not just because of cannabis and CBD, but it's through the whole body, mind, and spirit, work.
Connection. Yeah. It's once you make that whole connection, everything works so much better.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, so I've written a total of 11 books.
100.
4 of those have been in the past 3 years.
Yeah.
It's like I didn't do any for a while. I didn't do any for a long time. I had years, several years where I didn't write anything. And, I went through that cancer and all that stuff at the same time, but I didn't write for years. And then I came out on the other side, and I've written 4 books in 3 years, and I am stoned every day. I wrote 4 books in 3 years, smoking an eighth of weed every day. So yeah, exactly. When people say it makes you lazy, no, it don't. It makes you what you want it to make you. If I want to just chill and veg, I can have weed help me do that. If I want to be productive and sit down and write 3,000 words, I can have weed help me do that.
Very nice.
Very nice, Kerri.
Yeah, I agree.
I like my weed.
I'm proud of you.
Very cool. Okay, so now let's see. I've been posting up your social media links and also your websites. So basically, now with Cheryl, you can get in touch with her on Facebook under CryBaby Cryer, CRYER, and then with Kerri, you can get through to her Facebook on author Kerri Connor. And then we've also got your websites here as well. We've got
that'll take you to all my stuff. The link tree.
Yeah, the Linktree site for Kerri Connor. That will get you to pretty much everything that she has.
Everything. Even my granddaughter's YouTube page.
Cool.
I want to see that. I bet
And
it's
then,
cute.
and then also with Cheryl, you can find her on the website at CryBabyCBD.com.
Yay!
Now,
Cheryl, have you not seen her YouTube page yet? Did you just say you haven't seen her YouTube page? Are you serious?
I'll have to check it out.
I post it like all the time. It's River
Okay.
Riding Free.
Oh yes, I follow her on
I can give
Instagram.
her a blog. She has a 5-year-old child who she's been horseback riding for a year.
Oh,
And she is a very short 5-year-old child as well. And it is amazing. She has no fear.
oh.
She's like 3 feet tall, and she gets up on this horse that used to be a racehorse, and they love each other too. But she is amazing. This kid has strength like you. Oh man. She's
I love
something.
it.
She
I love it.
amazes me. That child amazes me because I've ridden horses and I know what she's doing. And to
Yeah.
see a kid that small be able to do it, it's amazing. I love her.
Love
She is
it.
something. So there's my plug for my granddaughter. She's amazing. Check her out.
nice.
Her out.
I'm also a horse lover myself, and I'm also the case manager for the state of Iowa for Stolen Horse International.
Oh, interesting.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, that's wild.
Yep.
That's cool.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
Her YouTube is to help her pay for her own horsey someday because she rides her trainer's horse. So yeah.
Oh.
She'll tell you she's the most famous kid in her school too. It's pretty funny.
Oh, that's so great.
Well, then she needs to check out the YouTube page for Horse Plus Humane Society down in Tennessee, because they do horse rescues every month.
I imagine someday we will get her a rescue. It'll be a rescue I know it'll be a rescue she gets, She'll love a rescue. She's just like grandma. I've never paid for, I've never gone to a store and bought a pet, They all find me, so.
Yeah. Yes. Same with me. I've been putting off getting a pet. I would really love one though.
All right. Well, it has been a pleasure talking to both of you this afternoon.
Thank you
for taking time out. And I look forward to hopefully getting to cross paths with the both of you. Like you said, with both of you being over in Illinois, we are neighbors. So, yeah, like you said, I invite you to come over to the
that'd be cool.
Podcasters Conference next year. And I'll see about I'm also supposed to be making appearances at Pagan Pride festivals and a few others over in Illinois. So,
yeah, I haven't been to Pagan Pride in Chicago for a long time. We used to go every year for like a decade. We went, but we haven't been in probably 8 years now, 6 or 7, 8 years somewhere.
Yeah, in fact, I am good friends with Twyla.
Twyla York. I know Twyla.
Yep, I am good friends with her. And yeah, so I'll be hopefully making an appearance over there. Plus,
that's cool.
I'm also going to be heading over to Chicago to the Parliament for World Religion next year.
Yes, I saw that. That is going to be here too. Yes, yeah, that's cool.
So hopefully I may get the chance to see you over there.
That's awesome.
Yep. Thank you so much for having us.
Thank you. Yes, thank you. That was fun.
You're very welcome. Now, you've been listening to another edition of Iowa Pagan News on the Prairie Land Radio Network. And as always, if you have questions for us later on, feel free to email me directly, earl@iapnradio.net or iowapagannews@gmail. Be sure to enjoy the weather while we've got it. Sounds like it's going to remain nice for a while for a change. Get outside and as always, take care of your friends, take care of your family around you. And I'm going to wish everyone pleasant journeys, and we'll be seeing you again tomorrow as we're going to be doing another chat with a pagan homesteader. So be sure to tune in for that. Have a
Sounds
great day,
cool.
everyone. And we're going to be done for the day.
Mwah.